Deep down, I want Halo to be great. I love Halo and I still play Halo with my friends every Wednesday evening, but recently I sat down and recorded a video which I ended up just becoming too angry that I decided that I wasn't going to post it, because at the end of the day, why am I so upset at Halo Infinite? So I thought more about it over this weekend, and I really came up with 3 key thoughts that I want to share with you guys in this video today. Firstly, Halo Infinite feels like a games as a service game without any service. Then, a 6-month Season 2, plus the campaign co-op being delayed to late August. And finally, the third thought is 343 the right team for the Halo franchise? And it's that this video is going to explore these ideas. If you guys want more in-depth detail, honestly, I've been down a huge rabbit hole when it comes to Halo Infinite and about all the different issues that the game is facing. I think those are all well stated. I'm not going to try to restate those points in this video. I'm going to talk to you guys about my personal relationship with these 3 key points. And the first one is the games as a service without the service. I hope that this point is completely obliterated over the course of the next couple months. Reading the dev blogs, watching the development unfold, there is hope. There's a little hopium in this world for me, right? When it comes down to it. Let's say, because right now at the start of it, we're getting 2 maps, 1 arena and 1 big team battle. I'm excited that we're getting 3 modes. It feels like that was a long time coming. And hopefully that helps bring new life to also custom games. I think that's going to add some value. I don't know what the narrative events that they're having unfold with interference in the alpha pack. Don't know what that means. People are kind of hesitant. Is that going to be additional paid content? We don't ultimately know. But at its core, if they fix the progression system, which we've called out, and I even called it out on this channel a long time ago, like that obviously will breathe some new life into the game. But 2 maps feels so hungry. It feels so void. It feels so, this better be the best 2 maps in Halo history that it's going to detail us for 6 months. So it's kind of point A and point B. But what I mean by that is that you have such classic maps in the Halo arsenal, to the point where if they go in and throughout Season 2, every couple of weeks or months or whatever cadence, because they are talking about these drop pods as their quality of life improvements and other content that they're trying to put into these, if those end up introducing new maps as some kind of rotation over the course of 6 months, this actually soothes a lot of the burn for me. That would be something where, wow, thank you very much. New maps over the course of it. But if we only get 2 maps and 6 months to the next season, in which that Season 3 says new maps, are like, that is in and of itself where the question that actually my friend told me and stated, it feels like they're doing the absolute bare minimum just to see what they can get away with from a data analysis perspective. Halo carries as a brand a lot of weight, and that rings so true to me right now. Like, if they can get away with the bare minimum, yes, YouTubers come in and complain, but people are going to check out Season 2, and then yes, they'll check out Season 3, because we all know how games as a service games work. And even negative press isn't necessarily all that bad, because it costs you nothing to step back into the game. So there's really very minimal hurdles to actually checking it out and confirming for facts one way or the other, if you agree with the YouTuber's take or if you end up informing your own opinion. I always kind of see a wide range of gamers in both camps, and I make no judgment. However you sue or decide, that's a weird word, to sue, to get your gaming opinion and news, like, that's completely up to you. But the 6 months, like, let's go into point 2, because I think point 1 feels pretty basic. I think that's something that we all feel rings true. We've waited a long time from the launch of it, and I know for a fact that there's still bugs and issues that I experience with this game that, while not game breaking, just irk me enough. That's where all of a sudden, in my previous video that I'm not going to release, like, all of a sudden I realized, like, I'm way too upset about this to be even thinking rationally. Let's take a step back and let's break it down into these categories. 6 months, like, I don't have a fundamental issue with 6 months if it's littered with content updates. And then as they push the co-op for the campaign to late August, like, that is, I think, such a thing that just brings out the idea that 343 isn't the right team for it. It brings out the idea that they were clearly not ready for launch. And that ties again into the point 3. Like, is 343 the right team for the Halo franchise? They had plenty of budget, plenty of time, and yet still to launch the way they did without campaign co-op. And split screen co-op is coming much later. And while personally speaking, that's not going to be something that impacts me directly, but I know that impacts a lot of people, and we saw a huge problem with that in Halo 5. That was kind of like the rug being pulled out from under us. That was something that they said they learned that lesson, and then it was going to be fixed going forward, and yet here we are. And so I don't mind somebody making a mistake. Let's be very clear about that. I play games where mistakes are made all the time. You're going to see that a lot in the games that I play and cover. So let's give everybody the same, same fair shake. What I am bothered by is when people make the same mistake multiple times. If you say you have identified the problem and you fix the problem and yet the problem still persists, like that in and of itself is like, what is going on? That's a leadership problem in my mind. That's a communication problem in my mind. There is obviously the idea that you can kind of look at this from the player's perspective versus the devs and say, hey, the devs did fix what was causing the problem, and it turns out that problem was also present in these other areas we hadn't found yet. Maybe I'll give some grace when that is the case in and of itself. But whenever the same kind of thing happens, the fact they launched without even the ability to do the campaign in a co-op way, man, I think obviously they weren't told. They were like, yeah, we'll just fix it after launch. And it's the fixing it after launch mentality that I think is the fatigue that we see within gaming culture. It's the fatigue because it feels so frustrating. And obviously, there can be things that are fixed after launch, and that's hopefully maybe in the future or in an idealistic world, those things tend to be little bugs, or we had to change this up and change that up. But we're seeing it more and more and more in various different video games. Heck, even with let's just to say Call of Duty, we've seen where Call of Duty doesn't even fully launch its store until after the reviewers have had their stay in it. So there's plenty of shady business going on out there. And I think Halo Infinite in and of itself is definitely a different kind of shooter in a different kind of space. I think that they launched it with the free-to-play model for the multiplayer actually making the most sense for the genre and what other free-to-play shooters are out there. I don't necessarily fault it for the business model that it has, because the game, the battle pass or their tier system, in and of itself is generally something that I'm actually excited about, because once you buy them, you have them. And so as a player, I can actively play this game when I want or when my time permits. I don't feel that artificial FOMO, that artificial pressure to log in and play. So I do appreciate what they've done in that aspect. And it's going to be interesting to see what Season 2 brings and how I feel about the Battle Pass and that system when that drops here in a little bit. But I, as a player, as somebody who's been a fan of this genre and a fan of this series and this, this IP for so very long, continue to feel ever so I'm the last man on the line of defense for him. Oh guys, they're gonna get it right. They're gonna get it right this time, and they've got things right, and then they've gotten things so wrong that it just frustrates me. And that's what I wanted to kind of put together today. The 3 things that are really frustrating me about the game that aren't what everybody else has already stated. I think people have put out a lot of really good opinions and breakdowns and detail as to the different issues that are kind of plaguing this version of the game, and I hope that ultimately we can see that Halo can live up to it. And it's just unfortunate that its diehard fans have to be the ones who are the ones who suffer the most, because here in a couple of years, let's say they get everything ready and they're rocking and rolling, and it's got the fact that they've got the Forge open beta coming in Season 3, which is November the 8th. When we look at how long that's from now, that's gonna, I think, help solve a lot of the problems that is persistent with the lack of maps that they currently offer. That the Halo community with the Forge open beta is going to go nuts and bring in the maps that they want to see, and it's that kind of content creation I think will ultimately help players really enjoy the games that they play. And I'm very much excited about that. I'm not gonna lie, that's going to be something really cool to see and how that ultimately plays out. And hopefully they've been able to take the lessons and stuff that they've learned but I still feel like we're a while away. And if season 3 is also another 6 months, then we end up seeing kind of like 2 seasons a year. Like, I just don't think that's going to be enough content to keep people engaged. And maybe the battle, royale will help offset some of that. Maybe that will help offset some of the gameplay drought. Maybe a Forge open beta with the tools of a battle royale will lead to new and innovative ways, and even maybe bring out new genres of game types and modes that people can invent. And so hopefully maybe by the end of this year, we're sitting here singing like, holy crap, they did it. But it just feels like it's going to be a very bleak summer. And as somebody who personally has been waiting to do the campaign until they brought in the co-op, it's like, well, I now know it sounds like when I'm going to be playing through the Halo story, because I'll be able to do that with friends. And that's the important thing of it. I think if they can remove the friction to all of this, I think that's going to be a real big boost to the game. Anyway, hopefully this is a little bit more rational. I'm glad I actually re-recorded this. The last video I don't think would have been good. I think it would have been great from a angry gamer rant perspective, but that's not what I try to do here. And I thank you guys if you made it to the end of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you have a great, wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. But until then, take care.
Yeah. It's time to chill out on the couch and read some comments. That's right. You know me when it comes to Destiny. I'm off with the clan, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Oh yeah.